Good evening and welcome to Inside The Hive. Tonight joining me on the show I've got two guests who played under this legend. We'll introduce them very shortly for you. We're also going to be taking an in-depth look at the academy tonight. We're going to look back on the action from last night against Chelsea in the game last weekend as well. Plus we look forward to Manchester City on Saturday. Josh King is going to take on the 60-second challenge. We've got another goal recreation as well, plus your chance to ask a question to our studio guests. Welcome to Inside The Hive. Good evening, welcome along to Inside The Hive, a great show on the way for you this evening. Plenty to get through between now and 8 o'clock. Just before we get underway with the show though, just an update from last night's game. I want to send our best wishes to Larry Brooks, who was the fan that was taken ill last night at the game. The good news is though, he's in good spirits today and being well cared for. We just want to say a massive thank you to all the medical staff from both sides, the fans that were in close proximity as well for their swift action, and very much look forward to welcoming Larry back to Vicarage Road very, very soon. But if you are watching Larry, have a good and speedy recovery. Okay, on the show today, two guests as always to entertain you for the next hour. The first, of course, is a regular with us on Inside The Hive. The legend is Mr. Tommy Mooney. Tommy, how are you?
Good evening, very well, thank you.
How's your week been? Any golf?
No golf as yet. I might play tomorrow, depends how I feel. I mean, this show's quite tiring, so...
It is.
We'll see how we feel in the morning.
Let's see. We'll see how tiring it's going to be for you. If not, we'll give you a nice cup of Horlicks and send you on your way at the end of the night with a little blanket. You'll be all right. We've got another guest on the show for us tonight, another legend from Watford, a man who many of you will have very fond memories of. It's the one and only Mr. Paul Robinson. How are you?
Good evening, Michael. I'm good, thank you.
Good to have you here with us. Now, we've got to clear something up before we start the show this evening. Many people on social media last week, seems like a recurring thing on this show, an apology or an explanation, were slightly confused as to why we were calling Emmanuel Dennis. Now, before the show, me and Tommy had a conversation with Emmanuel Dennis and said, is it Emmanuel? Is it Manny? How would you like to be referred to on the show? And he went, Dennis. Everybody calls me Dennis. All my good friends call me Dennis. And he allowed Tommy to call him Dennis for the night as well. So if there is any confusion as to why we called Emmanuel Dennis, hopefully that clears that up. So just to clear anything up, Mr. Robinson, what would you like me to call you on the show this evening?
Dennis.
Dennis.
No, you can call me Robbo, I'm not fussed.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good to have you with us. Look, got a good show lined up tonight, some good memories, and chatting to you guys off air already. You know, you obviously had a great time playing for this club together, lots of great memories. But we're going to start off with you, Robbo. You know, some fond memories of your time here at Vicarage Road.
Yeah, some great memories. Obviously, from a kid coming through the academy to then go on and play for the first team was a great time for me. And like you say, the opportunity to play with Tommy, Pagey, Richard Johnson, Peter Kennedy, so many great characters and people I learned off over the years as well, like Gibbo as well, was fantastic for me. So yeah, fantastic times. I loved every minute of it.
And Tommy, it's been great, you know, obviously for weeks you've been saying how Robbo's like your best friend in football. But it's good to see these friendships, they really do last. People sometimes just say it, don't they, that, oh, I'm really good friends with them. But
yeah, we're not really mates, are we? We don't speak all that much.
Not really. Just here tonight.
Love it. These two are killing me already. Absolutely. The banter on tonight's show is going to be another level. Let's move it on then, shall we, boys? I gave you a chance to speak, Tommy. You have to be quiet again now. Look, you both played under the great Graham Taylor as well. Let's just talk through some memories of him because you know, Tommy has shared some great ones, but I'm sure you've got plenty as well.
Yeah, well, for me, growing up, Graham was a big mentor for my pathway to where I went on for my career. Kenny Jackett the same. Kenny was my youth team manager. And I think when you've got great coaches like Luther Blissett, Tom Wally, Kenny, Graham Taylor, when you've got them people around you, it makes your job a lot easier because you know you can trust them, you can go and talk to them all the time. So for me, yeah, Graham was my biggest inspiration and my biggest mentor when I was growing up as a kid through the academy, yeah.
Yeah, massively. And Tom, you know, you've got lots of memories, but any kind of stick out from your time together working with the legend that is?
Well, I mean, we were on that pre-season tour to Isle of Man, weren't we? And he wasn't very happy with you when you gave him a pass in, was he?
No.
Do you want to tell everybody about that?
No. Not really, Tommy, no. We didn't really even need to talk about that one, though, did we?
Do you want to talk about it, Tommy?
Gaffer give him a slap for whacking the ball into him too hard.
Yeah, Well, it was a good ball, I thought, and then it just bounced up a little bit too high that Graham wasn't too happy with me.
Wasn't too happy.
But that was what he was all about, and that's the respect that we all had for him because he expected standards. So I learned after that lesson very quickly not to fire the ball in knee height to Graham.
Make sure you put the ball in the right place.
Yeah.
In the right place. Right, let's have a little reflection on the couple of games that we've seen in the last few days. The football's coming thick and fast, as it always does in this festive period. Tommy, of course, you got a little bit cold up at Leicester at the weekend. Let's start off with that one first of all. Obviously, disappointing not to get anything from that game, but I think what we have seen these last couple of games is the performances have been really positive.
Yeah, I think you look at the results and we'll be disappointed because we got close with those performances. We can see in the game we got back into it. I think it was more individual errors, but then really good penalty from Josh King, fabulous technique and accuracy, good pace, gets back in. The weather starts to change, obviously you can see the difference in the pitch. Looks like two different games. Dennis is taking his goal ever so well, and thankfully we can get away with calling him Dennis now we've explained it, but took it so well. And then we had other chances to get back into the game. You look back at the scoreline and you think it's a comfortable victory for Leicester. It wasn't. It was just a couple of individual errors and we didn't get away with them on the night. But even going to the final 5 to 10 minutes, you still think that they were in it. And I think that's that shows you how far they've come in a short space of time. You beat Manchester United and then you go away to Leicester and are disappointed with the result because you've played reasonably well, not your best, but reasonably well.
Those conditions at the weekend as well weren't too pleasant to play. Have you ever played in conditions like that before, Robbo?
Not that I can think of, have we? I don't think so. Not Watford. Other clubs no, because they've either been called off where you've travelled so far and you're like, thanks very much, get back on the coach and go home. Yeah. Or they've never had the orange or yellow balls available. So yeah, I've never really experienced something like that where you can't even see the ball, can you really, when you're looking at it? But touching on there with what Tommy mentioned, I think on an attacking sense, Watford look like they're going to score every time. It's just now trying to find that balance of defending. Obviously Leicester are a good team and you can't give players like Vardy or Maddison space because they will hurt you. And again, obviously we're going to talk about the game last night with the incidents, but they just need to tighten up at the back a little bit better.
How do they do that, obviously from your perspective? Just
got to keep working on the training ground. Claudio Ranieri's an experienced manager, and when you go back to the Italians with how they defend, he'll be drilling that into them day in, day out, is this is the mentality to have, this is how we've got to defend. But not just the defenders, as a team collectively, they have to get themselves back in the right positions and defend as a team. So again, all that work on the training ground, you can see it's coming bit by bit. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll see that real togetherness and solidness that he wants from the team.
That organisation though on the training ground, that we spent hours and hours of doing that, and I know Claudio's very similar, and you can see the benefit of that currently, and it'll only improve. I think it's more a case of just the individual errors that we've got to stop giving teams. Like Leicester's first 2 goals were gifts for them, and we've got to stop that. So I think it's more a case of concentration levels, because you can see the improvements in the structure and the shape. Concentration levels need to improve.
And let's move on to last night, of course. Chelsea, a game where you look back on it, again, we keep saying this whole positive performance thing, but actually it's a game where we could have really got something else of. And to say that against the Chelsea side is testament to how we played.
I was disappointed after the game, just as I'm sure the players and the staff were. And we started the game so well, and even after the break we came back into it. We were in the ascendancy, and then again just a little bit of concentration. I thought Sissoko was fabulous in the middle of the pitch. He was the best midfielder in the pitch for me. And then Dennis, you wanted him to do this, to run and go at them. He was having a lot of touches but not going past players. Each time he did, he got his success, and extends a fabulous run for Dennis, albeit off a deflection. It wouldn't have bothered me as long as it goes in the net. So from a personal point of view, Dennis is having a great time. We just need to extend those concentration periods, because for me that's all it is at the moment. That's letting us down.
I think it's clear to see as well that the Ranieri effect over the last few weeks, you're starting to see those things he's implemented. And obviously for yourself at the minute, Robbo, you're first team coach at Millwall. How much effort does go in on the training field? Because that's the side we don't really see.
Yeah, but it's a lot of time and effort, because obviously we're studying games, we're watching oppositions. The players are obviously preparing differently to how we'll work. So all that information that we're trying to pass on to the lads on the pitch, yes, we'll work tactically on a lot of stuff, But then when they cross the line, the players have got to do that. We can't then take that over the white line. They've got to do that themselves. So the more information we give them, the better they go into the game prepared. And when we're talking about Watford with their preparation now under Claudio, you can see a lot more difference, a lot more positivity. And the game last night summed it up. I thought, that's the first time I've ever seen Chelsea rattled. And the manager, Thomas Tuchel, on the touchline, he was going mad. You don't normally see him going mad. So Watford were in the game. Again, the disruptions maybe didn't help with the injuries as well. Messina went off injured. Thankfully, Larry's good and well in hospital. Little things like a 45-minute break, and then you come out and do another warm-up. So it can disrupt the game really badly,
can't it?
It
was very disrupted.
Yeah,
and
there was no handled themselves really well. And when they come back out, they started the game again how they started, on the front foot.
You mentioned injuries there. Obviously, Man City's come up at the weekend, and we're going to talk about that game a little bit later on. But just from your perspective, from your playing, Tommy, obviously we know for you when we're in the Premier League, a good start and then picked up that injury. When you are a player and obviously you're playing well as a side and you're on that injury bench, how tough is that? Because you want to be playing your part, you want to be playing in the Premier League.
Yeah, from a personal point of view, that was the toughest part of my career because I couldn't help my mates. I was on crutches for two months, something like that, and I missed 7.5 months. So it was really difficult. Being injured is tough mentally anyway, but when you're watching your mates with who you've had so much success over the previous 2 years and you can't help them and there's nothing you can do and you don't really feel part of it, because that's part of being injured, is you're in a separate location because you're doing your rehab while the players are at the training ground. You're probably in at different times of the day. And I had to be in at 9 o'clock every morning, coming across the Hempstead Road. It'd take me an hour and a half to do 12 miles with the traffic, so it made it long days, and I was late most days. That's why I was buying the sandwiches for everybody, because I was coming to Vicarage Road instead of going to the training ground. So it was difficult and it's tough, but it's part of the job. You have to deal with that. It's not just you dealing with when the ball's rolling and the whistle's going on at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Injuries are part and parcel to it, but you'd hope the squad would have enough strength to still win games when you're missing key players.
How does it affect the team, Robbo? You know, when you've got players like that are missing all of a sudden, it gives an opportunity to some players to step up and really kind of take that mantle to secure a place in the starting 11. But I guess collectively, like Tommy said there, you know, it's your mate that's sat there.
Yeah, it affects the team because Tommy's, like he said there, he was a big part of the 2 years that we got to that position where we were at. And then for all of it to be put down to an injury with his knee, disappointment, because Graham was never a big believer of just going and spending money and bringing a player in for ridiculous amounts. He wanted the group to stay together, and that was what was so great about it, is that we all were one. And when you lose one of your own, like Tommy, it makes it hard you can't replace them players, because we'd been so gelled together over the years. We knew what we'd get from him, and yeah, it was a big loss to us. And like Tommy says, their lonely days they're hard for people who are injured. And even when we're coming in and we're trying to liven him up, deep down he'll put a smile on his face. But he wants to be out on the training ground with us. He wants to be playing in the same team as us. But yeah, it is hard, and he was a big loss for us, definitely.
And Tommy, just for this current side with those players that are injured at the moment, it's pleasing to see that it's not having a detrimental effect on the side at the moment. The performances are still at the level they need to be at, and those people that get the opportunity are taking it.
Yeah, I think the key to it is you want as many of your big players back for the manager to be able to select, and that's the key to it, because it's not the strongest squad in the Premier League. A lot of the players are new to the Premier League. You know, I certainly think Ben Foster's injury is detrimental to the team, because he'd been playing so well, and that, you know, came in alongside the good run of form. But then Messina gets injured. You've got Danny Rose to come in, full of experience, and did well last night against Chelsea. So I think from the Chelsea game point of view, it's just disappointing that we came so close. We know Chelsea weren't at their best, but we came so close to beating them. Sometimes when Chelsea are not at the best, you're still miles off them. It wasn't the case last night. So that for me is a big positive.
It certainly is, and fingers crossed we can take those into the weekend as well against Manchester City. Now, we promise you a little bit of a look at all aspects of the club on this show. And tonight we're going to have a little bit of an in-depth look at the academy as well. And a little bit earlier on, I was joined here in the studio by Jimmy Gilligan and Richard Johnson. And here's what they had to say. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure to have you on the show tonight, and really looking forward to having a real chat about the academy, because I think they're real important parts of a club. Just first of all, just tell us a little bit about your roles with the club and your day-to-day activities, and we'll start with you, Jimmy.
Yeah, obviously I'm the head of technical development at the club. My day-to-day roles vary really, getting around about 8 o'clock because we've got the 18s and 23s in. We have meetings in the morning around what kind of training they're going to do, what intensity they're going to do it. That's with the MDT team, the multidisciplinary team. We talk about how many sessions we're doing, what type of sessions they are as we go through the week. If we just come off the back of a game, we're deloading. If we're going into a game, we're peaking and getting ourselves hopefully in the right frame to play for games. We've also, do a number of meetings with other members of staff throughout the day. We have an MDT meeting, we have academy management team meetings, we have scheduled meetings as well.
Lots of meetings.
Yeah, and then lots of, also we have obviously the schoolboy programme in the evening, and that leads through, so that starts at around 4 o'clock. The staff start getting in, the casual staff, part-time staff as I call them, and then start to go through some of the sessions with them. What are they doing? Who have they got available? And then literally I make my way up into the indoor area, and I'll watch train, I'll watch the coaches, watch the players. A big part of my role is working with coaches as a coach developer, but also trying to help the coaches develop the players, because my mantra here, and I know John knows his as well, is that it's the person first, then the player. And it's really important that the coaches understand that. It's really, really important from my point of view.
And for you, Richard?
Yeah, so obviously being brought in as academy director, I predominantly look after, sort of my role is leadership and management. So in terms of the actual running of the academy, looking after the staffing, budgets, work closely with the operations manager in the detail of just how the academy's run. But like Jimmy said, we've had some long days since we've been in, to be fair. It's not just about the 18s and 23s and that specific progression to the first team, hopefully, but there's a foundation phase, there's pre-academy, there's the YDP games program. So in terms of the overall project, it's quite a big job we've got in our hands. But yeah, well, listen, for me personally, it's a really proud moment to sit here and sort of say I'm academy director of Watford Football Club. The club itself has a huge place in my heart, so the history of it, coming through the sort of the youth team and everything. So we're under no illusions of what we're trying to do. So it's been a whirlwind sort of 5-6 months, but we're getting in a good place.
And for you, obviously, you mentioned there and touched on the fact that your youth journey as well, coming through here at the club, coming from Australia and being part of that. Does that kind of make it even more enjoyable for your role, because you've been there and the club means so much to you?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, like, we've got players from all over in the as scholars and in the 23s, living away from home, living with host families, living in digs. The sort of homesickness element to it, I went through that, so I understand what the players are going through. Not being able to see your family regularly, it can take its toll, and it's not easy. So I think Jimmy as well. Jimmy sort of came through the youth system here, so we've both got an understanding of what it takes to sort of get to that level. Yeah, I left home. I'd only just literally turned sort of 16. I was still just left school without my GCSEs here, but it was a high school certificate in Australia. So yeah, left there on my own, left my family behind, and started the journey, and this is where I've ended up.
And Jimmy, if you're obviously talking about your academy journey, the big game coming up next week with the FA Youth Cup, a competition which is incredibly important for the development of the younger players, but at the same point is incredibly special. We know how important the FA Cup is to the first team, but actually the FA Youth Cup is another real special tournament and competition close to your heart as well.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, back in 1982-83 season, I was very proud and privileged to be on a side that won the FA Youth Cup.
Second leg, might tell you.
Second leg being here at Vicarage Road. We drew 4-4 after extra time. We'd beaten Man United at Old Trafford 3-2, so we ended up winning it on aggregate, really. And it was I think for any young lad, any under 18 player, the pinnacle is to play in the FA Youth Cup and obviously to go as far as in it as you can, because it's such a different type of competition. Every week you play on training grounds, mostly in the league programme. All of a sudden you're going under lights in stadiums, and a lot of them are on the main stadiums now as well. You pit your wits against teams that might be Cat 1 academies, you know, and equally Cat 3 academies. So sometimes you meet teams that you don't normally come up against in your league programme. So, you know, I think the lads will look forward to it. It's a real special occasion. What sometimes you've got to be careful of is you don't let the occasion overtake you. It's no different what you say to the senior pros at FA Cup final time. You know, and I was around here when Graham was the manager in 1984. I was a young pro here in that time, and you try to keep things normal. You don't try to hype it up because you don't want players to do things differently. So, you know, Tom Hart, who's the under-18s coach, is getting the lads ready, and hopefully they'll go to Cardiff next week and give a real good account of themselves. And what we're able to do with this group of players for this particular game is give them back all the group of players that we dispersed, because we want some of those 18s playing up in the 23. So Ryan Andrews is one, for instance, that's played regular in the 23s as right back, done really, really well for the 23s, but he'll go back down for that game and play in the 18s, as will Shaq Ford, who spent an amount of time. Alfie Marriott, who's out on loan at Kings Langley, he comes back in for this game. So all of a sudden you get what you would perceive as a strong squad back, and you're hoping they gel together on the night and you know, do themselves proud.
Yeah, it'll be a very special occasion next week, and we wish you all well for that one.
Thank you.
Richard, talk about the role of the academy, because we had Cristiano in the other week, and lots of fans were asking the question of when are we going to see academy players into the first team, and it's always that question. I guess managing a football club, it's difficult because there is a process of you're developing players. Not all are going to reach the required level, but you've got a duty of care for them, and can they generate money for the club? How do you see the academy here at Watford moving forward over the next few years, with potentially bringing players into that first team, but also creating those well-rounded individuals that are going to speak fondly about the club on their further football career?
Well, Jimmy mentioned it earlier, it's person first. Obviously, as an academy, every academy should strive to try and produce a player for the first team, but everybody knows in this day and age and the way football's gone, that's a difficult task. But I think for myself and Jimmy coming in, ultimately, yes, we'd love to hear the Watford fans sing, and he's one of our own, don't get me wrong, but we know how difficult that is, being a Category 2 academy at a Premier League club as well. Our games programme, if you like, isn't as strong as probably what it could be to progress boys to that level. So it's about sort of organising different fixtures outside of the games programme and preparing boys the best you can, but ultimately as an academy, it's your remit is to try and produce players for the first team, or like you say, sort of get a return on investment. So I would be happy if we're producing players who can go out and sort of thrive in the social environment as well as football. If they don't play for our club, can we prepare them well enough that they're going to have a career at another club? So at whatever level that is, they find their level. So our sort of remit, I suppose, is to try and create an environment, a learning environment for them to flourish at whatever level they get to. But I would love nothing more, and I know Jimmy would be the same, to have an academy player sort of run out on the pitch here at Watford. But it's a difficult task. Cristiano's been a big help. We've had a lot of buy-in from Cristiano. He sort of understands what we're trying to do, and he's been really helpful. So looking at it, you just hope we get that one player at that level that we can get involved in first team and get that experience, and then that might open up the door for a few more to come through. But at the end of the day, it's going to be down to the players that we have in the building, whether we can give them all the guidance and create their environment, but if the player's not driven to succeed, then it's an uphill task to begin with. So it's about getting the right people in the building that have that drive to go on and then want to represent the club.
Jimmy, recruitment-wise, how difficult is it to sell the dream of Watford to players? You know, I've got a friend of mine who's just come into the 23s from another club, and he can't speak highly enough about it. It was good to see him with the first team last week as well. How do you sell the club? Because obviously it's very difficult when you've got other Premier League clubs in and around London as well.
Yeah, I think today now, more than ever, it's very, very difficult. You know, you talk about a pre-academy at 6 and 7 years of age now. I'm a granddad, so I'm looking at my grandchildren who are 5 years of age, 4 and younger, thinking in 2 years' time there's going to be people, if they want to play football, they're good enough, like looking at them to go into an academy. So I think in terms of recruitment, you need to have a strong recruitment department, but you also need to be. When I worked at this club previous, we had this area covered. We had Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire was sort of owned by Watford. What I think we need to do is get back to that now. Look, this is where this club is based. This is where we need to make sure that we know who are the best players around. Yes, we got Arsenal over the hedge. That's always going to be that way. But we need to be competitive in the recruitment market, if you want to call it that. So we've got to make sure that we got. I'm going to use them as foot soldiers, i.e. the scouts, the talent ID recruiters out there looking for us. What we also get is we get a number of private academies contact us through our own contacts as well. And ironically, so I've found, even in my previous job, some of the lads who come in later end up having they're far more fresher. They've not been in that system, so they're not sort of academy. Like, they've not been in an academy too long, so it's exciting and everything like that. But if you're thinking about, you know, what we've got around the Hertfordshire in 20 or 30 miles of the training ground, we've got a real tough job on our hands. And the player, if we go back to the person first, the player, the environment, if you can create that, yes, we need to try and have a pathway to get players into the first team. But equally, if a player comes in, like John was saying, and we help them become a salaried footballer at some point in their lives, I think that's a job done to a point. I'm just like Jono. I can't wait for the day someone walks outside that tunnel who's come through the academy. You know, would it even be better if they were Hertfordshire based? Probably, because that really is one of our own. But you know what? I'll take a kid coming through an academy, walking out under that tunnel, playing for our first team. That would be utopia for me.
Yeah, massively. And just finally, it's been a really good insight, so thank you both for coming in. Really, really appreciate it. What would you hope that a player that's been through the academy journey is going to say about their time at Watford after you've put your stamp on it? What would you hope that their summit would be? If you turn around and said, look, how would you describe your time at Watford? What would you like them to say?
Firstly, that they looked after me, treated me with respect, and then ultimately helped me on my journey to become a professional footballer.
Yeah, I would just say that I want them to walk away and say Watford treated me right.
Amazing. Perfect way to finish. Guys, thank you so much. Best of luck for the FA Youth Cup next week. We'll be cheering you on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Amazing. Well, great to have Jimmy and Richard with us in the studio a little bit earlier on, talking through the academy. And I guess there's two no better people really to head up the academy. They know the club inside out. They've been here a long time, and obviously Jimmy is someone you know. Tommy, you were telling me a nice little story off air about you and Jimmy.
Great coach, Jimmy. Worked with him a lot when he was in the Premier League, but he is responsible for me. I'll be honest, the gaffer tore a strip off me one day. Close to the end of the transfer window in my last season. I knew I was leaving because the gaffer had told me. They turned down 500 grand from Birmingham, and Jimmy was the assistant manager at Nottingham Forest with David Platt. He rang my mobile on the morning, and I quickly answered it and ran outside the door at the training ground. Was speaking to Jim. He was like, "You need to convince the gaffer to let you come to us now, because we need you before the window shuts." And I'd forgot all about where I was. I was right outside the gaffer's office, and the window opened, and he said, "Tell Gilligan to go away." Slightly phrased differently.
It's that terminology.
And then I came in, and the gaffer tore a strip off me. Yeah. So you don't speak to other clubs at the training ground. I said, but he rang me, and you've told me I'm leaving. So we laughed about it afterwards.
No, massively. But obviously having two players who, two people in charge that have played for the club, have been through a youth system, how important is that, Robert, that they understand the DNA of Watford?
Massive. For me, it's key that you've got the likes of Richard Johnson and Jimmy Gilligan in there promoting the academy, trying to get them into the first team. Yes, it's a tough task, but all you can do is your job and do it to the best of the ability, and them two are definitely doing that. And they learnt under Graham, they learnt about the club, they learnt the DNA of what it's about and how to push yourself through first team football. So yeah, for me it's going to take time, but there's no better two people than them two at the moment in the job, trying to do their best.
Yeah, no, massively. And speaking to some of those academy players, that they're clearly enjoying what's going on at the club right now. And we can hear now from a Welsh under-18 international defender, George Abbott, who is part of the academy system.
George, thanks for joining us. You've been at Watford for about 5 years now. Yeah. Can you tell us how old you were at the time and how you ended up at Watford?
Yeah, so I was around the age of 11, 12. Obviously, I was at Brentford, like I said, and then their academy shut down. So that was sort of like a big drop in my career. Like I didn't really know what to do, but obviously I had that passion, the love for the game. So straight away I went on trials. I was at a few different teams, and then eventually I ended up signing here, and I've been here ever since.
And you've obviously gone all the way from under 12s up to under 18s. Yeah. What's the main thing that's changed as you've progressed through the age groups?
I would say the game just becomes more serious, more attention to detail. Usually in an under 11, 12 game sort of like that, they sort of just let you go out there, express yourself. But as you go up through the ages, there's more on the opposition, how they play, how to play around that. So just those little minor details.
How inspiring is it having two Watford heroes of the past in Richard Johnson and Jimmy Gilligan leading the academy?
Yeah, it's really good. I think bringing in Richard and Jimmy was a change that sort of needed to happen in the academy. And everyone gets along with Jimmy and Richard. They're really involved, coming to games, they're involved in training sessions, and yeah, I think it was a change that needed to happen, and it was for the best.
You featured for the first team during the pre-season. I think you played against West Brom, Brentford and Arsenal. What did you learn from that experience?
I learned a lot, to be honest, just playing with them more experienced players. They helped me a lot. I mean, a few players to name, like Ben Foster, Dini when he was here, I think Adam Messina, really loud voice, and Matty Pollock before he went on loan. Those were sort of key players who really helped me, and were vocal, don't be afraid, just take the pressure off, and they really helped me settle in when I got the opportunity to be with them.
Just finally, what are your hopes for the future?
What are my hopes? Just to make it in football, as easy as it sounds. Obviously it's probably the hardest industry. Everyone always says this is the 1%, but I think if you apply yourself and if you work hard every day, like I said earlier, you give yourself every chance. So that's my aims.
And talking of those chances, a couple of younger players were involved at Leicester in the squad, and they've been in and around that first team, they said. And Tommy, that's pleasing to see. You both know from your experiences when you were younger players, getting involved with the first team for that very first time. It's special and it's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Morris on the bench at the weekend, and everybody remembers the first time that they travel or play. But I think George spoke really well there, and I reiterate, things needed to be changed. Absolutely, they needed to be changed, and the right people are in the right roles now. People that care about the football club because they've come through it and they've learned from their experiences, and now they'll pass that on to the young players. You say part of what Jono wants from them is what George has done there. He spoke really well in an interview, very level-headed, knows exactly how tough it is to become a footballer, but he's up for the challenge.
Oh, massively. Robbo, good memories of your first inclusion in and around the first team squad?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was surprising, obviously, because you never expected it so quickly. But Graham trusted. He trusted the young lads. He believed in them, and no better way than just throwing them out there. Because, like you say, the nerves all go. He put in the limelight. Go and express yourselves as players. And that was the great upbringing for me. Is that I never got time to get nervous. There was no thinking. It was straight into your derby against Luton after 2 minutes because Dom Ludden's gone down with a hamstring injury, and it was the best way for me. The best way for me to be thrown in. And like these young lads, they'll experience this throughout their career now. If they really want it, they've got to work hard, get their head down, keep doing the right things. But when that opportunity comes, it's being prepared and taking it with both hands.
How difficult is it now, do you think, Tommy? Because obviously, as you're coming into a club now that's in the Premier League, there's an incredibly high standard when we're looking at the quality of the starting 11. How difficult is that for these young players? I think it's important not to underestimate the hard work that they have to put in to meet that level and meet that standard.
You have to give 100% every day. Robbo had been kicking us on the training pitch for 2 or 3 weeks before he made his debut, so we knew it wouldn't be long. He was ready to do it, and I think you get that sense. The longer you've been in the game, that sense comes quicker to you that a young player is ready. And if they might not be ready for a start or on the bench, they're ready to be involved. And you've got to immerse them in real football, as I call it. I don't think you're not a real footballer if you're not playing at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon in a first team. That's why I think it's key for the young players, whether it be go out on loan or to move to another club. You've got to go and play in somebody's first team, and I think that's the ethos that the club is starting to turn around now, rather than having players in an academy system for many years and never playing for a first team.
No, it certainly is. So, well, best of luck to the academy side in the FA Youth Cup next week. They'll be taking off Cardiff away in that game. So we'll give you details a little bit later on if you want to go and support them on the road for that one. Still plenty to come on the show tonight. We've got another game of Ask Tommy on the way as well. And don't forget, if you want to put your questions in on the show tonight to either Tommy or, of course, to Robbo as well, you know how to do that now. You can submit them from where you're watching. So if you're on YouTube, pop it in the comments section below. If you're on Twitter, @Watford FC, use the hashtag of Inside The Hive. Now, before we get to your questions and we have a game of Ask Tommy, we've got, of course, our running 60-second challenge. Next up to take it on is Joshua King.
I'm Joshua King. This is my 60-second challenge.
Favourite sport other than football?
Paddle.
Most famous person on your phone?
Mrs.
Football Manager or FIFA?
FIFA.
First football boots?
Nike Vapor.
Team you supported as a kid?
None.
Keeper gets injured, are you going in goal?
Hell no.
Home games or away days?
Home.
Studs or blades?
Studs.
Text message or phone call?
FaceTime.
Worst teammate to share a room with?
Dennis.
Ice bath or cryo chamber?
Cryo chamber.
Red sauce or brown sauce?
Red sauce.
Ronaldo or Messi?
Messi.
Worst thing about pre-season?
Running.
City life or country life?
City all day.
First car you owned?
Audi A3.
Fancy restaurant or takeaway?
Fancy restaurant.
Favourite social media channel?
TikTok.
First professional goal?
Don't know.
VAR, love it or hate it?
Hate it. Beat that.
There you go. Good effort by Josh King. Only 19 points though. And Tommy, you were shocked you couldn't remember his first goal.
I'm deeply in shock. Mine was Hereford away in 1990.
Robbo, do you remember yours?
Yeah, mine was against Luton, Valentine's Day.
Ah.
Special day, that, isn't it?
Special day.
Special day to score against your rivals, eh?
It certainly is.
Certainly loved you that day,
Love was in
Robbo,
the
didn't
air.
we?
Okay, time now then for another game of Ask Tommy. Robbo, you're going to get your chance a little bit later on, but it's 5 questions, a bit of fun. Tommy has never won this yet when he's been taken on a guest, so there's a big chance for you to continue that record. No pressure. Tommy, there's a chance for you to get a bit of pride back and do well. You got 1 out of 5 last week.
I've still got my pride. Don't worry about that.
It's a big quiz, this is a big quiz. Question number 1, we always start off with a golf question for Tommy because we know how much Tommy loves golf. I need all of the options on this for the point, but what are the 4 major golf championships?
Masters.
Correct.
The Open.
Correct.
Augusta. No, that's the Masters, isn't it? I'm repeating myself.
You are.
I'm what? Repeating myself. What have I said? I've thrown
You've
myself
said the
now.
Masters and you've said the Open. There's 2 left.
My mind's gone blank. I've not played for 10 days, Robbo.
You just had a go at Joshua about forgetting his first goal.
I know, yeah. Well, that's probably equivalent to me, that, isn't it? Since you've got Millwall, I've played no golf.
You're
Now you've
missing
left
your
me.
partner, aren't you?
I know, I am, yeah. And all the money I used to take off you. Anyway, where were we?
You've got
Have I
the
bought
Masters.
myself enough thinking time.
Yeah, you got the Masters and the Open so far. You got 2 more. I can give you half a point for what you've got so far if you want to take it or leave it.
Give me a clue, Robbo. Help me out.
Golf.
Right, you've had too much time. You got it wrong. The Masters, the US Open, the Open Championship,
the
and
US
the
Open.
PGA. No, you said
the
Augusta,
Open.
and you said the Open. Yeah, but you've got the Open Championship in the UK.
And the US Open
You
and
didn't
the
say
Masters.
US Open as well, and then you got the PGA Championship. You didn't get a point.
PGA's the one I couldn't
Okay,
get.
question
I did
number
get the
2.
other one, that's 3.
Okay, I'll give you half a point. Question 2. Tommy, you have told us on numerous occasions that Robbo is your best friend in football. But what is Robbo's middle name? Is it George, Peter or Stephen?
It's George.
Brilliant. You ain't my best mate.
Robbo, what's your middle name?
Peter.
Come on, Pete. I thought it was Georgie.
Okay, half a point, 2 questions down. Question number 3. The question is this. Robbo made most appearances for which side? Was it Watford, West Brom or Birmingham? So which side did Robbo make the most appearances for? Watford, West Brom or Birmingham?
It's a lot for West Brom, but I'm going to say Watford.
Correct. It's very close. 219 for Watford, 214 for Birmingham. For West Brom, and Birmingham was 158. So you got another point on the card, 1.5 points.
You really don't want me to have any points,
No,
do you?
I do. I want you to
reluctant.
do well. Question 4. In a 21-year professional career, Robbo played how many of those seasons in the Premier League? 6, 7 or 8?
8.
Incorrect. 7.
7.
Final
I was thinking
question.
out loud. 7 was my answer.
Are you sure?
I was thinking out loud for 8.
Unfortunately, I have to take your first answer, which you said vocally, which unfortunately is incorrect. Your final question, this will get you 2.5 points if you get it right. You famously also played for Oxford United, but from this very seat, fastest route, not as crow flies, I learnt my lesson on that one before, how many miles is it to get to Oxford Stadium? Is it 51 miles, 55 miles or 59? Fastest route.
It's actually 51 miles. I googled it this morning. I read your
Correct.
question.
If you knew what was
I
going to
read
come.
your question and I googled all my old clubs. See, that's prep.
That's preparation. 2.5 points. Congratulations. Robbo, a little bit later on in the show, you're going to take on your 5 questions and try and beat 2.5 points.
Okay.
But now it's time for the important questions because they're the ones that you have sent in on the show today so far. So first of all, we've got a question for Robbo. This one comes from Dave. Thank you very much for taking the time to send in your question. He says, who is the most influential coach you worked with while you were coming through the ranks as a teenager at Watford?
Kenny Jackett. Yeah, Kenny Jackett was my he was my academy manager. Obviously, then he was a big part of the first team when Graham. So, yeah, he would have been in Graham's era as well to promote me into the first team. So, yeah, Kenny Jackett was very influential for me.
Tommy, who would you say?
As a youth player, Graham Taylor was in charge at Aston Villa and my youth team coach was Bobby Downs, a former Watford player. You wouldn't know that as a Southampton fan, but he was. Bobby Downs was really influential for me.
Good to have you on the show, Tommy. It's all right. Right, question for you, Robbo. We're going to stick with you now. No more questions for Tommy on the show. What's your favourite Watford moment?
Scoring against the Scum. Yeah, obviously. Definitely, yeah. That was a good moment. Making your debut as well. I think making my debut. Obviously at 17. You don't really see a lot of kids now coming through at 17 making a debut. So yeah, that was a big moment for me.
Always special games, those derbies as well?
Yeah, of course they are. It's fiery. The atmosphere is great, and yeah, they're so good games to play in.
Okay, next question comes from Joe. Joe, thank you for your question. They say, Robbo, what advice would you give to my young son who's trying to get into an academy at the moment?
Think twice. Enjoy football. I mean, I hear a lot of these questions now from parents. How can I get my kid into academy? You shouldn't be putting pressure on your kids. Go and enjoy it. Go and enjoy football with your mates. Eventually in the future that will happen if he's a good player and people are out there watching, then yeah, he'll get spotted. But for me, it's about having fun with your mates, so go and enjoy that while you can.
Good answer. Simon's question is next. He says, hearing from Richard Johnson got me thinking, have you ever played with another teammate with a better long-distance shot than him?
No.
Yeah, that'd be tough to beat.
That would be tough, wouldn't it? Especially if he scored some rockets, Jono, didn't he? I was trying to think of... No. Did you?
Martin Granger was at Birmingham was decent
Yeah,
with his left
decent,
foot, but in open play, no, Jono beats all of my former teammates.
Yeah, definitely.
He used to practice him when we roomed together. He used to practice him with an orange, booting it against the wall on a night while I was trying to get to sleep.
Wow.
But yeah, we talk about, obviously we see Paul Scholes' volley, don't we, all the time against Aston Villa, but Jono's was just as good at Bristol City, that one that he hit.
He never scored a tap in, did he? He was one of those.
Yeah.
It was always outside of the box.
Yeah.
I knew when it was on Jono's right foot outside the box, I wasn't getting a pass.
But we used to shout shoot, didn't we? Just shoot, Jono. Go on, shoot.
Love that. Final question for the moment comes from Watford 1881. It says, how is academy football different compared to when you were growing up?
It's a lot more intense. When I was growing up, obviously it was only twice a week, so every Friday night, Dennis Gibbs, so Nigel Gibbs' dad used to take me, the YMCA, where we used to have like 9 or 10 bodies up there just playing football. But now it's 4 or 5 times a week. The travelling for parents, again, they work, kids from school, homework, straight to the clubs. It's just so much. It's too much nowadays.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility. I was obviously a little older than Robbo. At Middlesbrough, it would just be school holidays. There wouldn't be any evenings because you couldn't get to Ayresome Park at that time. So I think the hours that they spend is very, very time consuming. And I agree with Robbo. You know, the younger they are, just let them go and play. Jimmy Gilligan even said in his interview, sometimes when they come into the game later on, they've got more of an idea because they've played on the street. So, you know, it's one of those. There's not a right or a wrong time to do it, but don't think you're under pressure at any point.
No, for sure. Some good answers there, some great advice as well. More chance for you to ask a question a little bit later on the show. You know how to do that as always. Just put a comment in the box wherever you're watching right now. If you're on Twitter as well, at Watford FC, use the hashtag of Inside The Hive. Okay, time now then to continue our quest to find the best goal recreation out there. Of course, the challenge for you is very simple. Pick your favourite Watford goal, recreate it, send it in to us, and you could be the winner of this come the end of the season. Robbo's added his signature to it today as well. Someone's going to walk away with this. All the guests on the show have signed it. Dennis has signed it so far. Musa Sissoko, Tommy's on there. As I mentioned, Robbo's on there as well. We'll get more signatures throughout the season. But it's very simple. You create your favourite Watford goal and then, of course, send it in. We'll play it on the show. A goal we're going to look at today, we Robbo, and thought because you're here, we thought we would pick one of your goals for inspiration for our viewers who are watching this who want to get involved. It was a goal against that rival team down the road. This could have been Valentine's Day. You'll tell us if this was a Valentine's Day goal. Let's have a look at Robbo's goal.
But Watford went ahead, courtesy of a man who'd made his debut in the corresponding fixture the previous season. Watford born, Watford bred, and Watford celebrator, Paul Robinson.
There we go. Cracking little goal there.
Yeah.
Robbo, proud of that one?
Very proud of that one.
Number
that was
11.
Valentine's.
Number 11.
I know, I had some numbers at Watford. 3, 11, 6 I played with. Remember, I swapped with Pete, didn't I? Because he got injured quite a lot with number 3. So he ended up passing me on. I don't know why he passed me. He just said, you want number 3?
Man, to be fair, it was just where he sat in the changing room, wasn't it? Palms sat all over the place.
He had 1 to 11 palms, didn't he, in the end?
Tommy, obviously you're a prolific goal scorer. How did you rate that finish?
Great finish. I think I broke 3 ribs trying to hug you both at there, coming in with the number 6 on my back. So you mustn't have fancied the 6 on that day. I must have been playing at centre half.
So if anyone wants to create that goal, Robbo, any tips?
Just timing a run, composure when the goalie's coming out towards you, and then just do a weird celebration because it's your first goal.
Don't need to talk about celebrations. We've seen Tommy's locomotion the last few weeks. He'll explain that one to you a little bit later on. Okay, so someone's already had a go at recreating this goal. It was the under-18s. Let's take a look at how they got on.
But Watford went ahead, courtesy of a man who'd made his debut in the corresponding fixture the previous season. Watford born, Watford bred, and Watford celebrator, Paul Robinson.
What did you think of that effort then from the under-18s there?
Very good effort. Yeah, really impressed with that. I even like the roll.
It was good, wasn't it?
Very good roll.
To be fair, there was a very good conscious effort from it as well because they scored and then said no, we want to do it even better. Yeah. So I think they did it about 6 times. But impressive stuff.
No,
impressive.
Very good. Very impressive.
If you think you can do better, get involved, get in touch with the show. All very simple. Recreate your goal. It doesn't have to be any one that we've seen on the show so far. Just pick your favourite. It could be a free kick goal. It could be whatever you'd like. Film yourself recreating it from the past of. It could be a goal maybe we score this weekend if you like it. If it's a good one, send it in digital at watfordfc.com. And if you're going to post it on social media as well, use the hashtag of Inside The Hive. Looking forward to seeing all your goals. So plenty of things coming your way here from the club in the next few weeks. course, as we've mentioned to already, there's FA Youth Cup third round action next week, Wednesday, December the 8th, 7 o'clock kickoff that one. Cardiff City away for our youth setup here for Watford. If you want to go to that one, tickets.cardiffcfc.co.uk if you want to go along and support the team at that one. Chance for you to join us at a networking event as well to discuss all aspects of women's safety in the town of Watford. That event's coming up for you on Wednesday, December the 8th, 6 till 8 p.m. here at Vicarage Road. If you want to find out more information about that, just go to watfordfc.com and you'll find all the details there. We're going to look forward to this one a little bit later on in the show, but of course Manchester City are the visitors this Saturday, December the 4th, 5:30 kickoff. Tommy will be on commentary once again for that one, and of course stay tuned to all the club channels for exclusive build-up and all the reaction to that one as well. So, if you were at the game last night and you popped into the shop before the game, you would have seen a familiar face because Troy Deeney was with us signing copies of his book. Here's a little look back at last night.
Please would you welcome back one and only Troy Deeney. Look, I know there were a lot of emotions for you when you left earlier on in the season and moved to your boyhood club Birmingham. We'll come on to that, but now you're back here for the first time. You're able to reflect on actually how much you achieved and what an impact you had in this place.
Yeah, I'm happy. I don't come back with any bitterness. I think. What we did over those 11 years was great. If you remember, that wasn't even a stand. So we did a lot. I think legends before me, Luther, John Barnes, Tommy Mooney, Tommy Smith, everyone has a legacy and they do so much to that point. I've done my point. It's on for these boys to take it further than I could ever do. So yeah, very happy, honoured to even be welcomed back.
We could talk about that goal, and maybe we will if we get some time, but what would be your next best moment, would you say, in a Watford shirt?
FA Cup semi-final. Yeah, scoring obviously the penalty which got us into extra time and Delafeu, and then getting promoted the first time we got promoted, I think was a long time coming, and then to have, wear the armband at Goodison Park away from home, full expectant crowd, lovely day, and then great result. So yeah, loads of memories.
How much do the fans mean to you? Because you said you ended up as captain, and I think for me, over and above any player of the last 20 years, you've represented this as a family club like GT wanted it to be. So what does this place mean to you? It's obviously made a real connection in your heart.
That means a lot, thank you. Yeah, I love you lot. I love all of you. That's why I still watch the games, I still comment, I still helping out with the ambassador role that I still took on. I still help the charities that I still did.
Absolutely. Well, look, Troy, you will always be welcome back here. You have made the most unbelievable memories for all Watford supporters here and far afield as well. So please enjoy your time at Birmingham. What's it like representing your boyhood club? Has that been a special time as well?
Yeah, it's nice, but it's not home. This is home. So I know where I'm from. So yeah, but thank you, support the team, I love you all. I feel weird standing here talking to you, so I'm going to go, but thank you. Sorry I never got to say properly, but thank you very much, and goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Troy Deeney.
Of course, an incredible career for Troy Deeney here at Watford. And Tommy, a great reaction for him last night.
Yeah, really good. I think he was pleased to come back because it all happened really quickly when he left, and I know, what the club means to him, and I think it was nice, so quiet from the supporters in the stadium, so you can see that the respect that they have for him while he's talking. And just a good opportunity for him to say thanks and the supporters to say thanks to him. And as all players that leave the football club, you appreciate that respect from the supporters, and I think that gives him the opportunity. He signed a book for my dad, which don't tell him, but because it's for Christmas. But
hopefully Tommy's dad's not watching. It's right. If not,
he won't be watching. He watches his grandson play football now. He doesn't watch me do any shows. So so he signed that for Tommy Senior. And we had a nice chat last night. We hadn't seen each other for a couple of weeks, so Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and Robbo as well. We know he's incredibly open, incredibly honest. Obviously, the book I'm sure is going to be an absolutely fantastic read for those fans that've got it, and for Tommy's dad, he's getting it for Christmas. But there's just no mistaking, is there, what it means to him, this club, and what the fans, for him, it means to them. And obviously, you guys both know what it's like to be appreciated by the fans. That's something really special, isn't it, when you can come back to a stadium like that and get that reaction? Yeah,
he did. He had a great bond with the fans. They had a big lot of loving for him. The achievement that he did over the 11 years is fantastic. He can hold his head up high, Troy, with what he's tried to do at Watford and how he's taken them forward, his leadership, even not just on the pitch, off the pitch as well, with his charities that he talked about, his ambassador role. So he's a big part of Watford's history, and he should be very proud of that. And it was nice. It's so nice seeing the club are always very respectful in getting you back, saying goodbye, because he never had that opportunity to say goodbye. I was the same. I was gone. I never had the chance to say goodbye. So Watford did that for me. They give me the opportunity to come back to say goodbye to the fans. So it's a great touch, and you could see it was a little bit emotional in his voice, but he held it together because the club means a lot to him.
It certainly does. And if you want to get your hands on a copy of Troy's book, you can do that. It's out now. Troy Deeney, Redemption. Football Book of the Year, says The Sun, and you can get your hands on a copy of that. Perfect Christmas present if you're still looking to get something for the special Watford fan in your life. Now, of course, as we've seen at last night's game, it's the time of the season again when we put the spotlight on the Rainbow Laces campaign and making sure that football is accessible and quality is spread across the game for everyone. This is a little bit of a feature now. What happened when the proud Hornets and Chelsea Pride met up a little bit earlier last week.
So, Tracy, welcome to Vicarage Road.
It's fantastic actually to be here. It's my first time in this ground.
Oh, is it?
It is, for a great cause. And obviously, we come back to that one chant that obviously is the big chant at the moment that people are talking about, and that's the Chelsea Rent Boy chant, or just the Rent Boy chant, but predominantly it has our name in front of it. And as you mentioned, it comes from the 80s. A lot of people get the history of the chant wrong. And basically, yes, to the gay community, to the LGBTQ plus community, it is homophobic, and people need to start realising it is. So what about when your fans, whenever your fans want to sort of say to the club, I can hear homophobia, racism, what do they do?
Well, we've got a number you can text in, which will go straight to a steward up in the, I believe back of the Elton John stand, and a specialist unit will come and to where you're sitting, and you sort of say where you're sitting and what you've heard, and try and identify who has said it, and then the further steps are taken from there. Obviously, it's easiest to do it when you're at the game. If you don't feel comfortable, I'm sure you will still be listened to, and they'll do the best they can afterwards. But it's easiest to deal with it at the time. So if you text the number, especially if you don't feel comfortable with addressing it yourself. But we need that. There can't just be someone from the community. There can't just be somebody from a non-white person or a gay person or a disabled person. It has to be allies. There's much more of you than there is of us. So it really is important that you show solidarity with everybody, because otherwise these campaigns will just fall by the wayside.
It's going to be a fantastic Rainbow Laces campaign, not just us, but all of the other groups as well. Pride in Football, Football v Homophobia, Kick It Out, they're all doing incredible work, but the best of luck, and sorry, I hope you lose.
Well, same to you.
Well, yeah, a fantastic campaign, the Rainbow Laces, and Tommy, a great tribute before the game last night as well to the campaign, which looked fantastic when you look at the pictures of all the fans getting behind it as well. Yeah, again, the supporters in the stand, outlining the inclusivity that we all believe in, and we come to watch football to enjoy it and to go home safely, and those are the two most important things. Yeah, no, massive. It's important to see, isn't it, Robbo? It's important to see the clubs embracing it, but more importantly, the fans have got to embrace it as well. And we're very lucky here at the club that family ethos does that. Yeah, definitely. It's a clear message, and we keep supporting everybody. The game's for everyone, so we have to keep spreading the word, keep sending the messages out, the right messages that it's not right. Certainly isn't. Right. Okay, time now for some more questions, but we're going to kick things off by another round of Ask Robbo this time. 2.5 points is your target that you need to beat to continue Tommy's 100% defeat record so far at taking people on in this game. 2.5 points is all you need to get.
Don't worry, mate. They're going to be the easiest answers you've ever.
Question.
No, it's the same every week.
Can I just confirm this game is not rigged against Tommy losing at all? Actually, it might be a little bit. Right, question number 1 for you, Rob. I understand you like golf as well.
I do.
So your question is, which club hosts the Masters tournament?
Augusta.
Correct. Point. One point.
Just give him 5 points now. You're just wasting time asking the question.
Question 2. Tommy, as you know, claims that you're his favourite best friend in football. But is that feeling mutual and is it respected back? Because I'm going to ask you now, what is Tommy's middle name? Is it John, James or Jules?
Oh, that's James.
Tommy?
Yeah, it's James.
It's not, it's John.
You're telling me what my middle name is?
Yes, you've got it wrong. It's John. And Wikipedia says it's John.
It is John. I just wanted to see his face, see him sweat a little
bit. With a J.
I don't sweat. Wikipedia's always right. I don't care what Tommy's what your real name is. So unfortunately, that's incorrect. So you're only on a point. It is John is his correct name.
Still best mate.
Question number 3. What was Tommy's first club before signing a professional contract with Aston Villa? Is it Billingham United, Billingham Symphonia, or Billingham Athletic?
I'm going to go Billingham Athletic.
I'll give you the answer before Michael butchers it again. It's Billingham Synthonia.
Oh, Synthonia, second one. Still on a point. You've got a chance here, Tommy. Last week, we had Emmanuel Dennis and Dennis to his friends on the show. The question we're going to ask is, how many goals has he now scored this season in the Premier League?
Oh, that's a good one. Was that his 9th yesterday?
No, it was his 6th yesterday.
6th.
He scored 5th against Leicester and his 6th last night.
I mean, he's had quite a few assists though, hasn't he?
He's had a few assists.
He's had 6 assists and 6 goals now.
Yes.
See, it was upside down. I knew it was a 6.
It's close. Close, but not close enough. Okay, final question, which unfortunately isn't enough. Tommy has won this.
Yeah.
But you can still...
You give him the half point for that?
I gave him the half at the top. He did get 2 out of the 4, didn't he?
No, I got 3 out of the 4. I said the US Open for everybody.
Well,
that
you said
watching
open,
on YouTube,
which could have been either, but I took it anyway. You've won. You don't need to argue, Tommy. You're not going to get more points. If you keep arguing, I'll take a half point away, and we could get a draw, and you still won't win.
You're not a school teacher. You're a presenter. Just present.
Question 5, your final question. Obviously, we know at the minute you're at Millwall. From this very seat to the Den, is it 26 miles, 25 miles, or 29 miles? By the fastest route according to my phone maps.
Which are not often correct, Robbo. Bear that in
From here,
mind.
I would probably say it's 29 miles.
I googled it this morning. I agree with Robbo.
Well, you're both incorrect. It's 25 according to my phone, and I'll show you.
I think you're forgetting about the road closure where you have to go around
it. That's what I was thinking.
Well, unfortunately, my maps did take into account the congestion charge, but.
Well, I'll swerve around then. So
definitely 29 miles. Anyway, a friendly game. Tommy, congratulations. You've won for the first time.
Thank you.
There we go.
Well done.
Cheers,
Love
pal.
that. Time for the serious and the most important questions on the show now, which of course the ones that come from you. A massive thank you for getting involved. We appreciate it when you do. We are live right now, so if you're sending your questions in, we get them. We ask them in real time. Right, first question then comes from Rudy Clark Johnson. Who is the best player you've ever played with? To Robbo.
Who's the best player I've ever played with?
Yeah.
Oof. I'd definitely have to say Jonathan Greenan and Kevin Phillips at West Brom. Probably them two, yeah, were just unique characters and real good footballers.
Tom, I think we've asked you that one before, but a reminder from you who...
Gary at Birmingham.
Yeah. Next question. Charlotte Gibson says, I'd be interested to know the most promising academy players Tommy and Robbo have seen recently or in their playing days at Watford. Who were players that really stood out even from that young age that you either played with or that you've seen recently break through into teams?
Well, the one who stands out for me is Jude Bellingham when he was at Birmingham. Obviously, he's at Borussia Dortmund now, so when you're seeing him at the age of 15 producing magic like he does, now he's just gone to that next level. So yeah, for me, I haven't seen anything like that. And Jude's definitely been one of those players who stands out very clearly.
I think for me, it's slightly different out of the academy system, but when I was a senior pro at Walsall, Troy Deeney was coming through and he breaks into the team because of his desire to be a footballer. So I think that's one of the things that you have to have. You have to have ability and you have to have a desire to succeed and work hard. And Troy had that at the time, so you know his rewards are not a surprise.
Mm-hmm. And final question comes from David, kind of based on the kind of academy kind of questions we've been talking about so far. From your perspective as former players, and obviously now with the coaching stuff you do you prefer a B team structure or an under-23s structure to football? Because I've seen a lot of clubs now that are putting a B team in rather than a 23s. From your perspective, which one do you think has the most benefit?
Well, it can work either way, can't they? I mean, a B team, you're playing in a league where it's a competitive league against men. So they are getting that exposure week in, week out of the physicality. From an under-23s point of view, it can work, good or bad. It depends on the link with the first team. So are the 23s going to be involved with the first team? Are they going to go out on loan and develop that way? So yeah, there's always different ways of looking at it.
I think that whichever way you do it, they have to play in competitive games. They have to do that sooner rather than later. You can't have players of 20, 21, 22 years still not played in a league game. So whether it be the B team or the 23s, the Papa John's this year has worked for some of the Cat A academies very, very well, because they've played against first team players in League 1 and League 2 as an under 21s or 23 side. So whichever way you do it, competitive games is the answer.
Okay. Thank you very much for your questions. Always appreciate it. You getting involved on the show. Time now then to move on to the November awards, of course, for Player of the Month and also Goal of the Month. And that's where we're going to start. And here's a look at the nominations for Goal of the Month.
And it's in! Saunders slams her fist to the ground. But Watford have drawn level thanks to Emma Beckett. Saunders. Stubbs has nicked it there. Bell's in! Bell, the super sub, has scored her first Watford goal. And Watford are on course for their first win of the season. Lewis will be kicking themselves.
Coming forward, they're in the Sunderland half. It's Leanne Bell. She goes past the play, edge of the box, shoots, takes a wicked deflection and nestles into the bottom corner of the goal.
Collected by Dennis, and there is Joshua King! Well, you can't say they haven't deserved that. Joshua King touches it in for his first home goal of the season. Cleverly. Ricochets to Femenia. Sarr! Oh, he's done it! Ismaïla Sarr puts his penalty disappointment firmly behind him to lash Watford into a 2-0 lead. Dennis. João Pedro again! Would you believe it? That seals the victory. A huge goal for the young Brazilian. A huge win for Watford Football Club. And a huge defeat for Manchester United.
Well, look at the emotion pouring out of the young player. Once they scored the goal a little bit and had some chances, but I mean, it's just been dismal.
Hernández, Dennis! Oh, they've got another one! It just gets better and better for Watford. A day to forget for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his Manchester United team, but a very, very special afternoon for Watford Football Club.
It's King, gets it past Schmeichel, and Watford get their reward for a positive start at the King Power.
The penalty had to be good from Josh King.
Oh, caught in possession, and Dennis is in for Watford, a cute finish. 3-2.
The two wide players of Watford have been really hungry in these situations all game. There's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. Dennis has a right to put that pressure, but look at the coolness of the finish. Lovely, lovely finish from Dennis. Gets his foot across, he's close enough to the ball to win it. Chips Kasper Schmeichel, really good composure in front of goal.
There we go, that's your nominations for Goal of the Month. And of course, to vote for your favourite, just head to the website. You've got till midday on Saturday. Some good goals in there. Let's turn our attention now to the Player of the Month nominations. Tommy, these are the ones that are up for grabs for the nomination for this month. We've got Leanne Bell is in there, Emmanuel Dennis, Joshua King and Anna Meewald in there as well. Some good performances from all of those players this month. A tough decision.
Really tough decision, yeah. Obviously, Emmanuel Dennis with his assists and his goals is going to go to the front of people's minds, but there's certainly other candidates there.
Obviously, I'm not too sure how much you've obviously seen Robbo, because obviously you, with your commitment with Millwall and stuff, but Josh King is another one of those players who's really stamped their mark on the side since they've come in. Yeah,
he's come in and he's been really bright. I think been really impressed with him in the games that I've watched. Obviously, the highlights. Dennis again, I think he's been an incredible signing. He's, like you say, with his goals and his assists, it just helps Watford move away from that danger zone, doesn't it? A little bit more, but yeah, I mean, Joshua King, obviously he was at Bournemouth, he scored a lot of goals and he's doing the same now. His movement and his work rate, though, has been good. Even before the goals started to come, was outstanding from the very first game of the season that he played.
Of course, Anna and Leanne as well. We've seen those results improving as the season's going on for the Watford women's side, haven't we, Tommy?
Yeah, importantly, I think the longer they're together as a group, they're a very young group, and obviously with Helen in there as well to lead from the front, hopefully that'll continue to improve.
Certainly will. So those are your nominations then for the Player of the Month award. It's Leanne Bell, Emmanuel Dennis, Joshua King and Anna Meewald. Once again, head to the website watfordfc.com to vote. You've got until midday on Saturday to get your nominations in and your vote for who your favourite is going to be. And the winners will be revealed very shortly as well. OK, let's turn our attention to the weekend then. There's lots of games in quick succession at the moment. Another one coming up on Saturday, early evening kick-off that one. Man City are the visitors here. Tommy, Manchester City, they're obviously a team in form that we know what to expect from them, but a challenge, but the way the side are playing at the moment, who knows?
I think the performances that we've had, yes, we've lost the last two games against Leicester and Chelsea, but the manner in which we've lost the games, individual errors, lacks of concentration, for the most part, they've been vastly improved performances. And yes, it's Manchester City, but there's some games, Robbo, I'm sure would agree, there's some games that you don't have to worry about your focus, because the stature of the game brings that to light, and you'll give everything you can on that given day. And I think that the fact that we got so close to Chelsea the other night, to getting a point out of them, if not more, will give them confidence to going into Man City. It's going to be a tough game. They're a very, very good side, but they've also got a few injury problems like Chelsea did. We just need to concentrate.
And Robbo, from a coaching perspective, obviously with your involvement with professional football at the moment, how do you try to piece together ideas of setting up against Manchester City?
Well, with the way that they play, it's about being compact and frustrating them as much as you can, and that's the only way I feel that you can play against them. But also, there's teams that I've seen that have gone toe to toe with Man City and they've got good results. So we were talking about Watford. I think Watford have got to take a lot of positives from the Chelsea game. All the expectations on Man City to win, so there's no real pressure on Watford. It's just to go out and build on the performances that they have been doing. And I think we can cut out them mistakes, them little errors, then it'll be a tough game for Man City.
It certainly will. And Tommy, I remember speaking a few weeks ago, we looked at this block of games and we said, we can get some points out of this, it's an absolute winner, but the performances have to be key as well, because once we get Man City out of the way, no game is easy in the Premier League, but you've got a run of fixtures coming up where you can definitely see that points are a realistic target.
Absolutely, we said that before the United game. So getting that win in that first game of the block of 4, where you think, anything could happen here. For me, the key to it is the levels of performance. They seem to be more enthused and encouraged and confident in each game. So I'm looking forward to see how they approach it. I can certainly see what Claudio Ranieri is trying to do with the group of players in that team shape and the structure that he has. Like I say, limit the mistakes and go and attack them.
No, massively. Well, Tommy, you're going to be in the stands for that one at the weekend on commentary, so hopefully it'll be a bit warmer for you for that one. And if anyone sees Tommy and they're near Tommy, take him a cup of tea at half time. He was telling us a little bit earlier on he didn't get a cup of tea at half time yesterday. He was a little bit cold. So if you're near him and you see him, cup of tea, how'd you take it?
I'll have a black coffee, 1 sugar, please.
Black coffee, 1 sugar. There we go. That's your challenge for your fans out there this weekend. And Robbo, for you, what's your weekend looking like? Obviously, action for you with Millwall.
Well, if you want to drive to Millwall, yeah, I'll have a black coffee and 1 sugar as well. So we've got one of my old teams, Birmingham at home. So again, another tough game. The Championship's relentless. Saturday, Tuesday. So yeah, we've got a busy Christmas schedule coming up now, but I'm looking forward to seeing a few old faces at the weekend.
Awesome. Well, best of luck for that one for you. And thanks for joining us on the studio tonight. Good to have you, Bezzy mates, on the show together. Banter's been flying. I've taken my fair share of abuse back as well. Thank you so much to you as well for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure to have your company every Thursday, 7 till 8. And we've gone over a little bit tonight, so hopefully we've not dragged too much into your evening this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your questions. We really appreciate it. Great to have you part of it. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the game if you're coming at the weekend, and we will see you next Thursday.